Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushua, Ba'Shem HaMakar Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and Shalom to all the brothers doing the work in Syrian truth. Um, kind of wanted to, just make a video on something I saw, because basically you've had in Japan, in the last week or 2 weeks, you've had a few websites. I think they're kind of similar to Patreon or OnlyFans or something, where people can it's kind of those what do you call it? What would it be called? Not independent creators kind of stuff. Just off the grid main platform stuff. They've basically stopped processing payments through Visa and Mastercard. And then I think for globally, Visa and Mastercard is the majority, if not all, of how payments are done. Even if you're using PayPal, even if you're using some alternative, it's still going to require Visa and Mastercard, because that's why you had I can't remember who it was, but it's they'll usually have those far right political, the alt right or whatever they call them, political groups. If they're taking payments, they'll usually Visa, Mastercard can cut it off. So they're kind of at the height. I had this one, because this is an older time when they did it before, but here it's at the very top is the card brand that basically so Visa, Mastercard, JCB, American Express, Diners. What's that last one? Discover. These guys will essentially have the ability to just kind of kill it dead, the whole business dead, if they so desire. Okay, so this is on Automaton. It says, what Fancy announced yesterday that Visa and Mastercard payments on the Japanese content platform have been suspended. This follows on from similar suspensions faced by other Japanese sites that host adult-oriented content. So yeah, I think it's OnlyFans kind of thing, such as Skerb, Nico Nico, DMM, and DL site. Functioning like Patreon, Fantia allows users to support and interact with amateur creators, including cosplayers, manga artists, and voice actors. Although its features are suitable for all ages category, Fantia leads towards adult-oriented content, as can be seen for men and for women sections. In the announcement, Fantia apologized for the sudden temporary suspension of Visa and Mastercard payments on the site, explaining that card users on Fantia's monthly subscription plans would have to change their payment method. Tora Coin, a virtual currency that can be redeemed on Fantia, is also no longer purchasable with Visa and Mastercard. So even to get to crypto, essentially, is undoable. But it said, at the time of writing, American Express, Diners, and JCB are still usable, as well as domestic bank account transfers, convenience store payments, and other e-money platforms. So I think it was, because I think the other articles from a year back, and I think they said it was only for external I'll just go into it after, because this is the one that happened recently. So Visa and Mastercard basically got together to kind of kill the site, and whatever the reason is, it's just interesting these things can happen, because you've had it happen before. Well, you can have it happen a bank level, maybe Barclays over here, Barclays or HSBC or some shit might stop processing payments. But then for what you call it, for this one, it's they came together, and it doesn't seem like it's just one. So there's Scab, Nico, DMM, DL site. They basically got together and killed all of them. Back in April, Visa, Mastercard were removed from the DL site, but DL site tried to smile. Okay. So yeah. So they basically just cut it off. But then yeah, the fact you can't even buy crypto with it as well to use, they're basically just trying to choke out the site. And it's kind of interesting that they're doing it, but it shows like with these payment systems, especially since like post pandemic, everyone's really like cash in the UK anyway. There was still cash was still kind of holding out to an extent, but it's like since like the pandemic, then it was like the excuse to make everything contactless, and then like once people started going contactless, then it was thingy. It was just kind of it was smooth sailing from there, because what do you call it? Once they started going contactless, it was smooth sailing, because everyone was just like, oh fuck it, I guess I'll just what do you call it? Stick with that because it's easier, and then especially for London, TFL, like the London Underground being what it is. Once people start using it on that, it's gonna be way simpler. It's like even for me, it's like I have two fucking Oyster cards. I don't even use public transport that much, but when I do, like I don't even know where those fucking Oyster cards are. They're in a drawer somewhere. Um, Whereas before it used to be like I would regularly top up a certain amount on the Oyster card and then use the Oyster card. But then, that shows how even the Oyster card was like transitionary. And it's the same thing with like contactless now. It's transitionary before we go to the full on MOTB, to the RFID. But it's pushed as, the main and only way. But it's funny, these are like off those kind of like independent creator kind of platforms where you can kind of be off the grid rather than less tied into the main system, because it feels like that with these things, and this is just in Japan, like this ain't happening globally, but then it's like with similar like Patreon and whatnot, they've had prior relationships with like Visa and Mastercard, because I think Visa and Mastercard put the squeeze on them before, and then these guys had to comply and kind of change how they operated. So it's kind of like with within all these systems, it's all being hedged around to where you're basically gonna have to run with the status quo. And the thing is once you can't process payments, you're done, man. You're out. Because there's one from last year. It says Visa blocking foreign issue cards for select Japanese in-app and online payments. And this one was when it was just for foreign cards. But then with the recent one, with the sites getting blocked, it was thingy. With the sites getting blocked, it was all cards. It was Japanese cards as well. So I said foreign issue Visa cards and wallets stopped working for Apple Pay in-app, Suica and Pasmo recharge. I think Suica and Pasmo are like rechargeable. What do you call that? Rechargeable credit cards, like top-up credit cards, or I don't know, debit card. Basically cards you'll top up, or payment system you'll top up. Which I think this in Japan they operate with that a bit more. I don't think that's as big over in the UK, maybe in the States, but in the UK it's one of those where it's like people only really use it after their credit's been fucked, and they can't get an account, and they basically would have to like if they want to make payments, they'd have to use a card that they charge up. It said after confirming that my wallet, so this is on At a Distance, I think it's a blog, I ain't too sure. After confirming that my Wells Fargo signature Visa stopped working for Apple Pay Suica recharge, I contacted Mobile Suica support, the official line. There should be no problem with foreign issue cards. Contact the card issuer. My next stop was Wells Fargo service support, official line. There should be no problem with your Visa. Contact the merchant. Entirely expected, of course, but Wells Fargo confirmed that Mobile Suica transaction attempts were not shown on the Wells Fargo system. They said it seems to be a communication issues, which meant something is not right on the Visa payment network merchant transaction authorization side. Everything was stopping there. Android usually confirm the same thing. So pretty much your banking group for all that. Maybe they will tighten it online trend or else. Sources had this to say: an acquirer made the decision to stop handling cards issued in other countries. In addition, that means GR East doesn't know what's happening on this problem. So a victim of one forced by Visa, their hands are clearly tied. The Visa payment network and the merchant acquirer are highly selective. For example, foreign issue Visa works fine for Apple Pay in-app purchases with the Starbucks app, but not in-app purchases with JR East for Suica recharge. So it was, for the American companies it was fine, and then for the Japanese ones wasn't working. This, I think, you go down to the bottom. I think it was resolved a little while later, because he said what? And this is in, oh wait, so 1 year later. So it's a Pasmo Universal Studio Japan is also not accepting non-JP until further notice. Oh, okay, so it was only Suica wallet recharge. So one of them started working in December of last year, but then the other one, I think, the other one still don't work. But yeah, it's with but again, like the image at the top shows it cleanly, with like, because you got a merchant, you got a customer, you got whatever, like everything ends and stops at like Visa, Mastercard, JCB, Amex, Diners, whatever, whoever, them guys can just decide to lock that shit down. And it's interesting, that's why it's like this, and this was like, but what, 20 last year summer, and then this shit is coming this year summer, end of spring, going into summer, which, and it's uniquely for Japan, which is interesting. But then it shows like with these card payment systems, that shit can just flip on a dime. Because the thing with that as well is like this, the one before was like foreign cards. So say you're overseas and you're just using your card internationally, which you can do with some cards. Then you might have been using that to top up to kind of live over there, and you just be kind of fucked. But that's how these systems are put together, especially with the payments. The way these systems are put together is so you're basically relying on what do you call it, on that system to function without it, and it really shows how, because once it goes to okay, it's a Visa, Mastercard, they're saying, look, we're only processing payments done through the MOTB. It's a wrap. Like you're fucked. Like these men were just like, yo, we can't even make payments. Man said like every other part, they called him up, it was like, yeah, everything's fine, I guess it's whatever, and then it's just Visa at the top just being like, nah, dead that. So interesting situation. It's still kind of developing. Like I said, it was more, I think 5 different sites where they'd stop processing the payments, and it's from like the top, right at the top, Visa, Mastercard just killing the payments from there. So it's interesting to see, and then we'll kind of see what, they might be testing something, they might be trying something out, they might be trying to, push something. It remains to be seen. But okay, Revelation 13 and 16, it says, and he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor. He calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save him that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So yeah, from the top down, everyone within the system, they're gonna have to deal with it. The elites are looking to have, it don't matter if you're some kind of, entertainer, someone who seems to have some form of, level or what's the word, prestige or whatever in this kingdom. That's all gonna be thrown in the bin. It's basically gonna be everyone having it pushed on them, and that's what it is now. It's like even with Visa and Mastercard, that's what everyone fucks with. People ain't out here thinking about what you call it. You know, even now, cash is kind of dead already. They've really pushed it, at least in in the Western world and whatnot. And there's this as well. 2 Esdras 16 and 21. It says, "Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion." Yeah. So, whilst thinking everything's in a good state, that's where chaos is increasing. You can just look at the state of how things are currently. All kinds of global conflicts, happening, which are being drawn into the mire. You had, DJ Trump get convicted on all 32 counts, I believe it was, of what do you call it? All 32 counts of was it embezzling funds or something to that extent from to pay someone off. So it's within the political structure, it's chaos as well. It's kind of chaos on all levels, and really everyone thought it was in a good state. People thought, everything's kind of stabilized, and that's kind of how people have been thinking. But that that stability is deceit. It's a lie. Because says what I'll finish on this. Luke 21 and 25, and says, "And there shall be signs in the moon and in the signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring." So yeah, distress of nations with perplexity, and we're seeing those signs. You had the what was it? The lunar eclipse, the solar eclipse, sorry, and that stirred up a whole spirit with it. And then what? Those perplexity of nations, which you go into perplexity. It's what? Aporia, the state of one who's in perplexity. So a state of quandary. You go to the root.
Strong's G 639. Apareo. Apareo.
Apareo. Says what? To be without resources, to be in straits, to be left wanting. And yeah, them guys left without the ability to make them payments. It's what you're left. You're left in straits. You're left in wanting, man. Without resources, because you can't access it. Remember the same thing happened when the Ukraine Russia war happened. I had like a Russian guy come in to make a payment, but then his card had been blocked, and it was just like he couldn't pay. He had to go through to like 3-4 cards, so he got to one that was still working. All kinds of through. But yeah, that perplexity. To stand in doubt, to be at loss. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom.